All right, it's a Thursday night, time for Las Vegas Tri Club member spotlight, and we are competing with the Vegas Golden Knights game. So,
Last night's win.
but I hope everyone tunes into this. So,
Watch
and
the
tonight
replay.
we've got a great guest, Jackie Cordero. Hey, Jackie, how's it going?
Hey, how are you? Good.
Doing good, awesome. Thanks for doing this. Hey, Bob, how's it going?
It's going great, John. I appreciate you.
Awesome. Yeah, this is great. This is so much fun. We were talking before we got started how these spotlights are actually a lot of fun because we get to know members more. And I personally get to know members more. And here I learned that Jackie's also a fellow New Yorker. Brooklyn, that's awesome. And so we were able to share a little bit of stories there, but we both love the Southwest and it would be hard to move back there. So this is going to be fun talking with Jackie. She is new to the club and getting started in her triathlon journey, although she's got a backstory to that. So this will be fun to discover that. So before I get going too far, I'm going to turn it over to Bob Gamble for the official introduction.
Cool. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. And welcome again, Jackie. And thanks so much for being on here. Like John said, this is, so members can get to know each other. So we look forward to it. And it's cool that you're a new triathlete because you have a great perspective on things.
Yeah.
And for folks who are listening, Jackie did her first try in 2012, and that was the LVTC sprint in Lake Mead, and then took 11 years off. So, and did her next try was the club event that we just did, and Jackie did really well in the club event. And then what was it, like 2 weeks later you did Rage?
I think it was like about 2 weeks. I think I did the open water swim
with
practice.
The club.
We did that, and then I got a lot more comfortable in the water, and then I think Rage was like the next week.
Yeah, and you podiumed. People, you didn't know that?
No, so I was leaving. I was waiting for my husband had the kids. I was waiting for him to meet up, and then I was walking away. I was talking to Yoshi, said hi, I said goodbye, was walking away, and I thought I heard maybe my name, but it was mispronounced, which is pretty common. My name is Jacqueline.
I'm sorry.
Most people mispronounce it. And so I'm like, I just stopped and I turned around and I saw Yoshi waving at me, like, come here, I think you won. And I went over, and next thing I knew, I was on the podium.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's yeah, and you had a really good time too.
It was I was just shocked.
Well, you're obviously a natural athlete. And then this was an introduction, so we kind of actually just got jumped into it. Yeah. But yeah, Jackie, again, like John said, is from New York, moved out here, teaches Air Force officers and brass in her, I guess, spare time, but no, that as a reservist. And also Jackie is the mom of 3 young kids, 7, 5, and 3. So that explains that 11-year hiatus in there between the first and the second. So Jackie, welcome, and how you doing?
I'm doing great. I can hear noises going out here, so I think the 7, the 5, and the 3 may be roaming. So if they pop in, then it will explain a lot. So, but yeah, I'm doing great.
And we're used to that. We either have a cat walking across somebody's keyboard, knocking over their microphone, or dogs jumping into their lap, or kids coming up and pulling on the shirt. So no, right. That happens a lot. You have already signed up for a 70.3.
I did. I think it was really, it's really ambitious, but the way I have to train and the way I have to focus, at least for me, is if I don't have something scheduled or something booked, then I don't have as much motivation to do it. So even like from 2012 to now, in between kids, I've been doing Spartan races, and I was doing 5Ks, and I would say the last 18 months, I really got into 10Ks, and I have to book it. I have to schedule myself and then put my registration in. Part of it's that I'm cheap and I don't want to lose my money, but once I have it on the books, then I have a goal, something to focus on. So with this, I said, okay, let me find a race. I had said a couple years ago, I want to do a half Ironman before I turn 40. So that was kind of a bucket list thing, and I turned 40 in February. So I don't have as much time to get into it. So I wanted to try, and so I am signed up for that in September. It's actually the Jones Beach one in Long Island.
Oh,
And where is that
oh,
again?
awesome.
Jones
It's
Beach?
in Jones Beach, Long Island.
Okay.
So I wanted it to be a little sentimental since that's where I spent a lot of my summers was out in Long Island at the beaches.
Oh, that's cool.
Kind of cool.
Yeah.
So
Wouldn't it be cool if you ran into some of your childhood friends in there? Go, hey,
it'd be crazy. But I don't know if anybody even does. The only person I know that does Ironmans is my uncle, and I have a child watching him. Can you guys? Okay, I guess we're gonna have one. Yeah.
Hi there.
Well, hello.
Hi.
And who have we here?
This is what's your name?
Dominic.
This is Dominic.
Hi, Dominic.
He was there for the try last a couple weeks ago. Jeremy
Oh,
on
yeah.
with the other two, but
Oh,
I like
Anyway.
your hair, Dominic. I'm jealous. Mine's going away.
but yeah, I signed up for the 70.3 as something as a reach goal. And yeah, I'm hoping I can do it. So I have
No,
to
it sounds like, being goal oriented and having something to shoot for gives you the structure of training, which, I mean, a lot of people have that, and it sounds like you got a good plan. Can I ask you why you wanted to do a triathlon in the first place? Your very first sprint?
So it was something different. I've never considered myself a runner. But I always kind of like to find a new, there's another one.
I love this. This is great.
I know.
Take him out, please, and go in the kitchen. Thank you very much. My husband will be home soon. But yeah, I wanted to try something different. I was doing, like I said, I like Spartan races. I like the activity. No one's listening to me. This is why. Lorenzo, I need you to take your brother and go in the other room. Thank you very much. I'm gonna lock this door now.
Oh, this brings back memories. I love this.
All right.
Nothing better than kids jumping on a Zoom call. This is awesome.
And Jackie, that says a lot about you. You
Yeah.
dealt with that in stride.
Yep.
I mean, you didn't miss a beat.
I'm trying. I've gotten used to trying to get through conversations being
Yeah,
over or encumbered.
that's
But
fun.
anyway, I like to try to find new challenges. So never really been I consider myself a runner. I played basketball growing up, short distances. Never wanted to do much more. I did a handful of 5Ks, but
Mhm.
I like the Spartan races and the Tough Mudders. I like the variety of it. The different environments, the different obstacles. So I've enjoyed doing those, and then that kind of led me to maybe try more road races. I did a couple of Disney, like 2 or 3 Disney races. Big Star Wars fan, so trying to do the Star Wars races at Anaheim and then in Orlando, and
Oh, how cool.
so. But triathlon was just something new, was something different. I enjoy swimming. I never really liked biking. I still don't like biking. It's my least favorite of the 3. But it was something new. My uncle is a big triathlete. He's done probably maybe 5 Ironmans.
Wow.
Is recently in his 60s. He did at least, I think, 2 in his 60s. And so seeing him do those and like kind of watching the live streams it was pretty cool. And knowing, like, seeing him as a kid waking up in the mornings, going out riding his bike, running a couple, half marathon distance just in the morning, was pretty cool. So I figured, let me try something new. So I signed up for the Las Vegas try. I bought a used bike on Craigslist. That was not the best for a try, but it was something. And so I didn't want to go all in and buy a bike for a couple of grand. I bought it for like $150, and it was heavy.
Yeah.
And I learned when a 13-year-old was just flying by me going up the hill, and I'm just struggling to get up the hill.
Mhm. Oh, I think, I don't know of anyone who hasn't been there. Yeah, I still remember a old guy when I was in my 30s, coming by me like I was standing still, and he goes, "Keep it up, son. You're doing fine."
I just did this. Like, this kid was a teenager, and he had this, thin. The wheels were really thin, and the bike was light. And I have these, like, not mountain bike tires, but fatter tires, and definitely a heavy bike. And I thought it was good because it had aero bars. But no, it was not. But whatever, it got me through it and I completed it,
That's right.
and yeah, it was an accomplishment. And then we started trying to have kids, and that was a struggle. And so there were times where I couldn't work out, times where I couldn't really do anything. So sold the bike and just stuck to running.
You are cut out to be a triathlete, because you take on challenges and you solve problems as as they come.
Well, maybe. But I definitely enjoyed it. I got the bug, but I just didn't, it was hard to get back into it based on, like I said, back to back kids, all almost exactly 2 years apart, each of them. So by the time I recovered from one, couple of months, and then pregnant with another one. So it was definitely hard to get any type of routine.
Well, it's really good to have you in the club. That's for sure.
Oh,
It's going to be fun.
yeah, I'm excited.
And I think that's a great approach. I mean, it's family, and we always talk about this work-life family balance, and you got to fit triathlon in there too. And sometimes you got to take a step back, and that's perfectly fine, because the races will always be here. So I'm really curious. You did a race in 2012, and then again this year, 2023. So you really have had two first races.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about how they compared, and from the swim, bike, and the run, either equipment wise or even just how you prepared or what have you.
So I would say for the first one, I didn't get a lot of time on the bike. I did ride it, but I didn't feel like I got a ton of time. My swimming, I did no open water swim at all. Leading into that. We live kind of in the Northwest, and getting out to Lake Mead is not like most convenient. So I just did, it was lap swimming in the pool, at the gym. I don't remember, maybe Gold's at the time. But it was just lap swimming, and I'm comfortable in the water. I grew up at the beach, so I'm comfortable in the water, not the best, comfortable.
And that's important.
Yeah. And it was September, so no wetsuit. So that was, I would say the swim was easier. It was 2012, the water level was a bit higher.
Have you swum in a wetsuit?
I had never swum in a wetsuit until the club event. And I will say, comparing the two swims from the 2012 swim event to the club event, night and day. I felt relatively fine. There was definitely a little bit more choppiness in the first one, choppy. There were people and a little more crowded and people kicking me, and I wasn't used to that jostling, but I got through it. The club event, less people, so I didn't have to worry too much about that. But having never worn a wetsuit before, I actually had, oh my goodness, someone helped me before. I cannot remember her name now, and I'm really feel bad. She helped me get it, figure out which, I had two of them. I didn't know which size. She helped me get it on. She gave me some body glide and kind of taught me how to wear the wetsuit properly. The water shocked me, the coldness of the water. And I got in the water. I didn't submerge. I just kind of got into the waist and then went.
Oh my.
I went into like a shock, a panic. And
of course you did.
I was borderline, like, I'm going to quit after the first buoy, because I could not get 2 breaths without having to come up and paddle. So that was a really, that was not a pleasant experience, the beginning part of that swim. I kind of got it a little bit after the first turn. I kind of got into a little bit more of a rhythm. I got my breathing under control, but I would stick my face in the water and I could not breathe. And so that was really freaking. I'm like, oh, maybe this is not the sport for me anymore. Maybe this is really not for me. But I got out, I got the wetsuit off. This I thought was pretty good. That run from the water was significantly longer than in 2012 because the water levels are so low. I did not remember running that far to get.
Oh, it's not fun. It's not fun.
Yeah, but I got a transition. I think I did a pretty good transition. The bike was better. I think I felt better on the bike. I think this time around than maybe the first time. I think my bike it's a better bike. It's a Cannondale now. It's lighter. It's a little bit more equipped to do the job. So I felt pretty good on the bike. And then the run, I love that run. I just love everything's blooming at that time of year. It's just it was a nice run. I even had my phone. I'm like, this is a club event. I could take pictures and some selfies, and we took some pictures of some cactus flowers. And
oh, you're living one of John's favorite phrases, and that's enjoy the journey.
I like to just take pictures as I go. That's why part of why I like to have my phone on me. Aside from safety, I like to have my phone. But yeah, it was a good. I enjoyed it. The swim freaked me out.
Okay, now I'd like to go back to the swim for a second.
Yeah.
And you're obviously very intelligent, and as far as and you're an instructor, who teaches a lot of things. Triathlon, a lot of it is learning from the experiences you have. So when you came out of the water, what were the learnings you took away? And I'm asking you this because we got a lot of new folks in the club.
I didn't really know I didn't really learn anything that day from the swim. What I did learn was the following week when I went to the open water practice, and with Hillary. I think it was Hillary.
Oh yeah, it was great.
And I kind of I got out of the car with my wetsuit on backwards. And then I realized we stood there and we talked for about 15 minutes, and I realized like I have this thing on backwards. I hope nobody noticed. So I went and changed. I came back, but getting like a couple of tips she had, like pouring some water in your wetsuit prior, and okay, that's good. Because I didn't realize how the wetsuit would absorb. It would absorb the cold water versus the room temperature or body temperature water. Getting in the water and like submerging and putting your face in and getting wet ahead of time. So all of those were huge. And even that day, the water temperature was like 8 degrees higher. It was significantly warmer, and I did much better. I had her like trying to like knock into me. We did some practice where people would pull and going around the buoys, and I felt 110% better at that practice than I did the week prior. So I guess my anxiety of like rage, because I had signed up for rage, my anxiety was much lower because of the open water practice.
Well, you learned quickly.
It was just those couple of tips were really helpful because I got in the water at rage, and again the water was another 5 to 6 degrees warmer at that point, but significantly no stress. I had no stress going into the swim. I think I could have done better in the swim portion, but I had none of that anxiety that I was afraid of.
No, you had a decent time. I'm sorry, I looked up your results.
Yeah.
You swam really well.
Yeah. I'm comparing everything to the 2012 times, which is not really smart because I was like 10 years younger. But yeah, it was definitely a much different experience having gone to that practice clinic, and the water being warmer. But now that I know, I started doing ice baths to kind of get acclimated to that water and not have that panic feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was super helpful. That's one of the benefits of the club. I would never have had a practice like that, or even known how to prep better for the wetsuit portion or the aspect of the wetsuit had I not been in the club. I wouldn't even known. So
yeah. Big shout out to Hillary for that.
Yeah, and then of course at Rage, I forgot to pour water. I forgot to bring water. So I just took my kid's water bottle and dumped it into my wetsuit.
There you go.
Well, but
you put your face in the water.
And I got in the water. I put my face in the water a couple times. I submerged. I pretty much was just hanging out up to my neck for a while until the race started. And it made a big difference.
Well, and I think it's so great that you recognize you want to go get some more experience and going to that open water clinic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's good to do. And so that's great to hear. And it's great for people to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so now let's move on to the bike part, because the bike courses from your first try and the club race are almost identical.
They were similar. Actually, yeah, those are they were very similar, a little bit different. So I think we come out and then just go. I think Rage and the first one I did were the same. And I think the club one was very similar, if not almost identical. The run was a little bit different, but the bike was
the same thing.
Similar.
So what was it like when you were biking this year? What was going through? Were you thinking back to your first race and you sort of had a sense of what to do, or was it all fresh again?
I was thinking. I mean, at the club race, I was thinking like, oh, I think I remember. I remember there's a big hill to start with.
Yeah.
And then I did not remember it being as up and down as it is. I don't know why I didn't remember that, but I didn't remember that. And so like, okay, we're going downhill and we're going back uphill. And I think this time, because I have a little bit of a better bike, I was a little more comfortable with speed going downhill. The last one, I was not super comfy. going downhill very fast. So I definitely held myself back a bit, but this time I felt a little more comfortable. I felt like I was able to get better positioning and better control of the bike. So I felt more comfortable with that speed going down, which helps on the way back up. And then between that, the club event, and then and Rage, it was kind of the same. I'm like, okay, I just did this. So I only did it 2 weeks prior for the club event, so it was very familiar.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Okay, so now you get off the bike. I don't know if you can think back to what it was like in 2012 versus now. And I'm going to steal Bob's question. What were your legs like getting off the bike and starting the run?
Yeah, the first time was I was wobbly. Even in my training, I don't think I went an hour or whatever, 50 something minutes on the bike in my even in training, I don't think I ever went out that long. But yeah, getting off, I was like, oh, okay. I'm walking a little funny.
Where are my legs?
Yeah, I feel like I got off a horse. I'm walking like bow-legged. But no, I kind of just shook it off. I threw on some gear and then ran. The only person that was there was my husband cheering me on that time. So I was kind of just looking for him and just trying to get at least some decent pictures of my first try. And then I went off. And that hill going back out, the hill is not right. And
Yes.
so, yeah, and then I feel like the first, I think I think it was the same route again from first try to Rage, or similar. Similar.
Pretty similar, yeah.
And then the club one, we start in that that secondary road, so it was a little bit of a different start going out. But that run out for Rage is just after I'm like, I don't want to run up this hill anymore. Like just when I get to the top, I'm like, I make jokes and comments to people as I pass, just because it lightens the mood for me and maybe
Rage. The Rage transition was up higher, wasn't it? It was up in that parking lot.
I feel like it was a bit higher, and so I don't know. I guess so. Being new, the transition starts when you come out of the water, and then so the whole run is part of transition, or is the run part of swim?
It depends on where they put the timing mat.
Yeah, and I don't remember. Everything was blocked out at that point.
Yeah, I can't remember. I don't remember where they put it.
Yeah, I don't remember. Once I get out of the water, I don't remember. I'm just like, get this wetsuit off me and just run up this hill. So, but yeah, so I'm trying to figure out like if my transition times were long or if they were good, and it's hard to know if it's counting that run because I don't want to count the run in my head. I don't want to count that against myself for the transition.
That's not normal. I mean, to have that long of a run as part of
Good. That makes me feel better.
Yeah, it's sort of tough with the lake levels, but yeah, I think they put the mat up near the entrance to where you got your bike.
That's where I think too. But so my swim times are longer than
So I'm curious, these are all sprint races sprint distances. What caught your eye about jumping into the 70.3?
So like I said, seeing my uncle do these races, and I don't have the desire to do a marathon. I don't have the desire to do a full Ironman. I don't want my, yes, I know I say that, but at this point in my life and even prior, like I don't want to commit that much time to training. Like I want to train for maybe smaller things, but I don't want to commit, 4 or 5 hours, a day or whatever it is to train for something that long. And so I'm like, okay, so a 70.3 is kind of like the halfway point of that. So I feel like it's still a good amount of training you need to put in, but it's a more manageable amount of time. And especially where I am in my stage of life, it's with young kids, a smaller portion of time to train would be better. And again, 70.3, it's for sure a challenge. I feel like anybody can run a 5K, even like anybody with no practice can run a 5K, or at least run a 5K. 10Ks, you got to maybe put a little bit of training in. Halves you have to train for, and then kind of moving up from there. So I feel like with a little bit of training, I can do a sprint. But I need a bit more training to do an Olympic, and even more to do a 70.3. So just again, that challenge of trying to do something new and something that's at least manageable, I guess.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing how you tackle that.
I'm hoping I can do it. Training has been not super convenient, at least right now. My husband got a new job, so his hours are not, I think he's just getting home now. So, and he has to get to work early. So we try to figure out, like, if I can go run in the morning before he goes to work, and if he's going to watch the kids, and then who's going to take him to school. And so it's kind of a challenge to kind of coordinate those schedules. And so the weekends are my long run times, or like tomorrow, hopefully I can get a long ride in.
Well,
But yeah,
that was one of my questions, and this is great. I love that you're talking about it. Is how do you balance that work, family, triathlon life, especially with a young family? And it's a very pragmatic approach. I really like this, and flexible. And I
Right.
think the mistake a lot of people make is they get very rigid in their thinking of what they need to do. But with your situation, it's great to hear that you're very flexible with how you're approaching this.
so
And
I think I have to be. I would prefer to be more. I would prefer to have a more regimented, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm going to do, this run, and I've been using the Garmin app for half marathon training, and so I like that. It tells me, like, on what day I need to run what distance in what method. And so I would prefer it to be set and solidified like that. I work better in that kind of environment. This is a little bit more. It's not as convenient. So it's just, we're trying to find pockets of when I can go. The kids just finished school, so that's helpful. We don't have to get them out to school in the morning. So that'll be a lot better, I think. We may be able to get some, I can go earlier. The sun's out earlier now. I'm a 5'2" female. I don't really want to be running or riding a bike at night or in the dark. So I'd rather go when it's at least some kind of daylight. The coyotes aren't out, and because we have coyotes over here. So I need to at least have some sunlight, but I need to be able to be done by the time he needs to leave for work. So, but I would prefer it to be more regimented.
But I love the way you're adapting. You fit in what you can when you can, and in the long run, you're going to get the same, some very similar types of workouts in and volume and everything. So, yeah, you're doing that. So you're doing it really smart.
I'm trying. This is why I'm kind of concerned about the 70.3. Is that I wanted to be a little more, have more training under my belt by this point, and I'm not there. But I do go to my reserve work in Alabama in like 2.5 weeks. My plan was to bring my bike to kind of just see how flying with the bike works before I have to bring it to fly it to New York.
Well, you think ahead, don't you?
I haven't booked my New York tickets yet, but I figure if I can bring it to Alabama, I can kind of see that process. It's a small airport. I'm familiar with it. There's a lot of logistics I got to figure out. So I may just rent a bike while I'm down there for a couple of weeks. And
yeah, of course.
I have the flight line. I can just do laps around, and hopefully it's in the heat. It's very hot and muggy. So I think I love training down there. I go for my 6 weeks, and I don't have the kids with me, so I can train. My work schedule is pretty intense, but I can try to get my runs in, and it's in the mugginess. It's 90% humidity at 6 in the morning.
Oh, you be careful though.
But it's super helpful because I come back here and yes,
you have cooling.
A little bit different, but I'm at least my cardiovascular abilities are a little bit increased because I've been going in the humidity.
Yeah. So when you're planning out your 70.3 training, where do you find your strengths in terms of you feel really comfortable with a certain segment, and where would you think that you're trying to improve a little bit more?
So the running, I think, is probably where I'm the most comfortable. I'm more used to it. I've done more. I did probably like 15 10Ks last year.
Oh gosh.
I've only done like one half. I signed up for the ET, the extraterrestrial highway. I did that last year, the 10K. I actually won that, which was insane too. So I did that last year, the 10K, but this year I signed up for the half because it's in August, and I figure it's a half distance. I need to be able to do that for September. So I signed up for that. I'm more comfortable on the run. I run it when I'm at work, for work. So it's the easiest thing for me to go out and do.
Well, keep in mind also, you've got 8.5 hours to do that, and you'll see a lot of people, you can walk that.
Yeah, and that's how I figure, like, that's the part that I can manage the easiest, I think, because as long as I'm moving forward, whereas the bike, it's a little bit different. And then the swim, I'm comfortable in the water, at least in the pool. I'm comfortable in the water for for over a mile. Like I've done that. We have a pool in Alabama at the base, so I practice that outdoors, so it's even nicer. I can, feel the sun, and I try to get some good mileage in down there in the swim. But yeah, the bike is my least favorite. It's the longest and my least favorite portion. I don't know. I don't know what it is about it, but it's I get a little. I think maybe I get bored.
Yeah.
More so on the bike than the run. You're in that same position for a while, as opposed to the run where you're able to move around a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the part that I think I need the most practice in, is the bike.
Well, I love it, and I think it's so cool that you're going back to your stomping grounds
Mhm.
and doing one in Jones Beach. That'll be a lot of fun. That's a nice area. You get some nice breeze going along, so that'll be
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, it's I wanted to pick one that was going to be a relatively easy course for my first one. I didn't want to pick something super hilly,
Yeah.
and I don't really want to swim in. I don't want to be near sharks, and I don't want to be near gators. So those are my two things. Like in Alabama, I run right along the river, and I'm like very cautious of the gators just on the riverbank. Never mind going in the actual water.
Yeah,
So,
right.
but this is actually it's not even on the Atlantic side; it's in the bay. So it should be a relatively smooth
Should be good.
swim, and then there's no mountains or hills or anything. It's pretty flat bike.
Pretty flat.
Yeah.
Just so the bike and the run will be pretty flat. So and I mean, hopefully a nice, cooling breeze off the water.
Well, that's awesome. Well, Jackie, this 30 minutes and
It just flew by.
Flew by. I love it. I love that your kids popped in and made a special appearance. That's
Two or
you
three.
and your mom, and I love it. And I love to hear how you're balancing, being a mom and family life and work and triathlon. And it's possible, but very pragmatic in terms of how you're going. But I'm super confident you're going to have a really good experience in that
Yep.
Jones Beach. So,
I'm
Jackie,
excited.
thanks so much for joining us and talking about how you got into triathlon and where you've been with that.
Oh no! Thanks for having me. You guys messaged me about wanting to do a spotlight. I don't really know anything about what I'm doing, so I don't know what we're going to talk about. But apparently, we were able to talk for half an hour. So
That's right. Yeah, thank you. I want to, echo what John said. Thanks so much for being on here, and it's really impressive. It's impressive how you're balancing everything out, and I love the way you're working towards your goals and using that to drive your training. It's
thank you.
really a good message.
Oh, appreciate it. I'm just trying.
That's awesome. I love it. Well, thanks, Jackie. Have a good evening.
All right, you too.
All right. Thanks, everyone.